Travis Wayne Goodsell. I'm never getting around to the video I intended to this morning, but I still keep getting new ideas for videos. This one is about not being able to just pick and choose whether the church is true or not, using opinion, belief, feelings to claim truth. And I can use the scriptural example. Somebody gives you an object and says, this is an apple seed. If you plant it, you'll produce an apple tree with apples on it that you can eat. And the apples are good. Does that mean they're telling you the truth? No. How do you find out what the truth is? You plant it according to the instructions for planting an apple seed. And so that's the process from Scripture as to how to identify truth. You don't get to hold the object in your hand and say, I now have the truth. It's real. I bear witness of it. You have no idea. It could be a little screw, for all you know. And so when it comes to church history, or church doctrine in the Mormon church, church theology, church precepts, are you Mormons allowed to believe whatever you want? Technically, yes. But can you enforce that belief on others? You do it in your families. Are you allowed to do that? What if you're lying? You don't know you're lying, but you're lying nonetheless. Are you allowed to lie? Are you allowed to lie and deceive your children? The answer is no. Why? Because scriptures abound, even in the Mormon church, Mormon scriptures, you don't lie. And Mormons know you can't be saved in ignorance. You can't just say, I don't want to hear anything about what you have to say that's negative about the church. You know, I just want to learn the basics. That's not an excuse. Cannot be saved in ignorance. Did you know that? Do you know that scripture? I'm pretty sure it was a scripture mastery. I'm pretty sure they would have still kept it. There's only one passage. Section 131. This is the added part that replaced Joseph Smith's monogamy. His second Doctrine and Covenants confirmation of monogamy gets you exalted. And this is what was replaced. It is impossible for a man to be saved in ignorance. Verse 6 of section 131. And it talks about spirit and how it's matter. Which, if it's matter, do you remember your physics class? Everything is matter, everything is physics. Because if it's physical, it can be measured, it can be quantified, it can be sensed. And so spirit is not intangible, it therefore cannot be omnipotent, omniscient, benevolent, and so what's the other one? See, all-powerful, all-knowing, all-good, and there's another one. It's going to bug me now. because I don't write these things down per se. Sometimes I'll have notes written to go by if it's going to be complicated, but if I'm just talking to you. But, I mean, is that a true principle? Do you believe it, or do you know it? Well, first of all, you have to be saved before you can know, or just know that you believe, or find out that it's false. But church history. This was supposed to be the bicentennial year for the first vision, and then coronavirus strikes it down, so all their plans are ruined. They don't care about the first vision anyway, because as the other video that I wanted to do, if Joseph Smith is a prophet, seer, revelator, translator, then Brigham Young on are false prophets. Do you know how that works? I don't have to go through each and every single prophet to find out which one may be, which one isn't. And then obviously I can't say, oh no, I believe that David O. McKay was a true prophet, but Benson, no, I didn't feel good about him, so I don't believe in him. You can't do it that way. They're either all true or they're all false. Because of the way the church is set up, each one has to be true. Otherwise, if any one of them in that chain is false, the whole chain collapses. From Brigham Young. Joseph Smith is another story. If David O. McKay is the bad link, or the weak link in the chain, only down to Brigham Young. And you may say, well, yeah, but, no, not but. Are you familiar with the FLDS Church? FLDS Church are those who believe that Wilford Woodruff was an apostate prophet, a fallen prophet, because he caved to the government to end polygamy. And so all these FLDS groups started because they believe Wilford Woodruff was a fallen prophet. And there were those who believed Brigham Young was a fallen prophet, jealous that they didn't get any wives after they were all taken. And then there were those who didn't like John Taylor because Brigham Young rearranged the order, and so they were upset about John Taylor. And then Wilford Woodruff, and then Lorenzo Snow, and Joseph Fielding Smith. He's the one that came out and said Section 85 is no longer applicable as Revelation. Because W.W. Phelps repented. He didn't have any clue as to what he was talking about. He just rambles through all those pages in the first presidency message, official statement. Yeah. So again, I'm sorry, Mormons. You cannot even say, okay, Book of Mormon is legitimate, therefore the church is true. Because of the Brigham Young factor. You have to put the Brigham Young factor in first and foremost before anything else, unless you only concern yourself with Joseph Smith. If you concern yourself with Joseph Smith, you got to stick to only Joseph Smith. You cannot apply anything with Joseph Smith to the current church, and even from Brigham Young. Why? It's because historians have got it labeled on Wikipedia, succession crisis. And And if you do not understand the succession crisis, and I was not taught the succession crisis growing up as Mormon, and I had to find out myself. Succession crisis? You mean there were others of the Mormons who didn't follow Brigham Young? Emma didn't follow Brigham Young? Exactly. And I never understood that as a kid. My parents are both from Hiram, and I didn't understand how we could be from Hiram and not have any descendants from Joseph Smith. It's been several generations. Surely there must have been somebody from Joseph Smith. And so when I started doing my genealogy, I was kind of disappointed. Oh, I don't come from Joseph Smith. It's because the church didn't tell me. And so I found out on my own the facts. It's a fact Emma did not go with Brigham Young's group. But Hiram Smith's wife did cave in. So yeah, I'm sad about that, as I found out the truth about that situation. And what's the worst case scenario, women? You have kids from a husband who is murdered, and you get deceived by the one who ordered his murder, and you become under his care as he raises your child, and then grows up to be a deceiving prophet in the church, the false church. Do you understand what a nightmare that would be for you if that were to happen to you? You don't get to pick and choose. You don't get to say, well, I believe, and so therefore it's true. It's my opinion, therefore you need to validate my opinion. Remember that phase that America went through? Man, that was a bunch of crap. No, I don't have to validate your opinion. You're supposed to establish truth, arguments, sound arguments, not your opinions, not your feelings, not your beliefs. Facts and evidence. Truth. And so when you're faced with a question by a non-Mormon on your missions, or as you're talking about the church to others in your local area, if you're outside of Utah and they don't know anything about the church, or they heard things, do you just dismiss it and say, oh, that's just hearsay, don't listen to any of that? No, we're normal. We're not a cult. We're an occult. Did you know the difference between an occult and a cult group? So even non-Mormons and critics of the church think you're a cult. So you can set them straight. You're a cult. How do you know you're a cult? You have the sign of a cult. The inverted pentagram. That makes you a cult by definition. That's the fact. Because of the evidence. On the Seagull Gate, on the Salt Lake Temple, on the Nauvoo Temple, that was built and designed after the death of Joseph Smith. Oh, but they'll say, oh no, it was his design. He intended to have a temple here, and this was going to be his design. Nope, I went over that. The Smiths had the Holiness to the Lord parchment with the pentagram, not the inverted pentagram. Big difference. Smiths were not involved with the occult, as a certain now excommunicated September 6 BYU church historian claimed in his book, Mormonism, Myth or Magic, Mormonism and the magic worldview. He was suggesting a cult. Whether he called it a cult or not, I don't remember reading it that way. But it's been decades since I've read it. I'm pretty sure I have it. I hope I got it back. And so, yeah, you don't get to pick and choose, Mormons. You don't get to say, oh, well, it's just a pretty star. So what if it's pointing down? Who cares? I don't believe it's Lucifer, so therefore I don't worship Lucifer, therefore it's not a symbol of Lucifer. It's just a pretty star. That's what little kids do. If they were to see the inverted pentagram throughout the church, what would they draw? Oh, draw a star, okay. And all they know is the inverted pentagram, because that's what they see in Mormonism. To a little child, yes, they have no clue as to the symbolism and what it represents. But as an adult, you know better. You don't get to say, I believe it's harmless, I feel it's harmless, it's my opinion that it's harmless, and therefore that's truth. You don't get to choose. Do you understand, or do I need to go for more examples? Is Book of Mormon plagiarized? Does it change truth if you have an opinion one way or the other? Does it change truth if you believe one way or the other? Does it change opinion if you have feelings one way or the other? No. Plagiarism is a simple thing to establish. Our teachers checked us on all of our reports that we turned in. All of our book reports. She knew the book that she gave us to do a report on. If we plagiarized the book, she knew. How did she know? Because it'll copy word for word. And it doesn't matter if there's a few words here and there that are changed. You have to have a high percentage changed. It has to be in your own words changed. Otherwise, you have to put it in quotes and give the reference, the page number. And I'm sorry, Mormons, the Book of Mormon is plagiarized. That's the fact. Your opinion, your feelings, your beliefs can't change the fact. The Book of Mormon is plagiarized. But then what do you do from there? See, LDS critics say, oh, see, it's false church, it's all fake, evil. Nope, they can't make that conclusion yet either. But that's what you're afraid of. Because that's what they do, and you go, oh no, I guess they're right. You're supposed to find out why. Why is it plagiarized? Why those specific passages from those specific books? See, now you got a mystery on your hands. A church history mystery. And my playlist about the real LDS history goes over that. I published a book, several books actually, a couple full books, and then for the last full book I did it in chapters, published in chapters, and then combined the chapters into the full book. And then I had to do some updated videos. I haven't updated the book yet. Harmony, Pennsylvania playlist, and Coopersmith Shop. Those specifically, and then there's some other minor updates throughout the real LDS history as well. The parchment, Holiness to the Lord parchment. I could have done more on that, and I discussed that in videos. The inverted pentagram I didn't need to talk about yet. that could be in future ones when we get to the Nauvoo temple after the murder of Joseph. But with the coronavirus, I've not really pushed to do mass productions of books now. I do videos on YouTube. That's the best way to reach the most amount of people that I can, which is sad, because as you can tell, I don't get very many views, do I? I'm hoping Russell M. Nelson resigning video gets a whole ton of views, and it got off to a good start. In 1 minute it had 13 with 1 thumbs down. You can't pick and choose, Mormons. It doesn't matter if you know Nelson's family and that they're good people. They were good to you. Were they good to everyone they've encountered in their life? Does that matter? Sure it does. If they didn't steal from you, that doesn't mean they didn't steal from somebody else who's now wanting them to account for what they have done to them. Do you understand that's why I sued the church? Why I won trillions of dollars? That's a disappointing video for views. I thought LDS Church loses $1 trillion in lawsuit. I thought that would have caught people's attention. It didn't. Of course, it's still early, but it didn't get off to the good start that I typically get. And so you can't pick and choose based on a small sampling. That small sampling being your personal experience. Because you have to get everybody's experience who's encountered him in their lifetime. And would you know that there are those who accuse him of satanic ritual sacrifices with his children? Or at least knows about it? That's in the that's a lawsuit that's in the courts. I've not heard about an update yet. I'm assuming the Supreme Court is putting it on hold for as long as possible, but Gaddy versus COP proceeded during coronavirus. My case proceeded during coronavirus. As the church lawyers made me win by default. And so again, it's not a matter of opinion. I can't file a lawsuit because I have an opinion or a belief or a feeling that the church is bad and then they've committed some kind of crime because I have a feeling, and that they need to validate my feeling by siding with me, having me win the case so I can get money. No, I have to have evidence so that my accusations are based upon the evidence, not on my opinions, not on my feelings, not on my beliefs. I've got the evidence. I was waiting for the lawyers to respond with their typical motion to dismiss, and I had the bombshell waiting to go, and I was able to do that. And then, yeah, the judge let her days run out, and now she's been replaced because she refused to do anything with my case. And so now it's been passed on to the brand new girl on the block. And got the job so that she can do the church a favor, though. So it's their opinion, their belief, their feelings as to how she should judge. See the difference? You can't enforce your beliefs, opinions, your feelings onto others. You have to have facts. And you can't tamper with a case. You can't tamper with the judge. But that didn't stop them, did it? So do I still have your attention? At 25 minutes, though Amazon or YouTube says that no. Everybody gave up 25 minutes ago. I can keep on going, Mormons. But I think you got the idea, I hope. You don't get to pick and choose what's true and what's not.